It hit me at exactly 12:47 p.m. on a gray Monday in Chicago. My thumb froze over the screen as the Facebook post seared into my eyes. Posted at 11:53 p.m. the night before, just 7 minutes before my birthday ticked over. Surprise party for our shining star Sophia, the caption read beneath a cluster of laughing faces crowded around my younger sister. Sophia stood center stage, hand pressed dramatically to her chest, the other waving at the camera in that practiced look of delighted shock she had perfected over the years. My mother's comment sat right underneath, like a slap. At least one of my girls is worth celebrating properly. The office around me kept its normal rhythm, keyboards clacking, phones buzzing, the distant hum of the coffee machine, but inside, everything tilted. I stared at the glossy designer watch perched on the table next to Sophia, half unwrapped from tissue paper. The exact model I had been eyeing for 18 months, saving every extra dollar from my paycheck as a financial operations analyst. I set the phone down carefully before my hand could shake too much and drop it. For a long moment, I just sat there, perfectly still, a statue, hiding the storm building beneath. Bathroom, I muttered to no one, rising with mechanical precision. The fluorescent lights in the restroom flickered overhead as I gripped the cold sink, knuckles turning white. 1 breath. 2. 3. I studied my reflection. Olivia Bennett. 29 today. Apparently still not worth remembering. A single tear slipped free. I wiped it away, smearing a bit of mascara across my cheek. "You okay in there?" came my coworker Jenna's concerned voice, followed by a soft knock. "Fine," I called back, forcing steadiness into my tone. "Just a minute." I straightened my shoulders, watching resolve slowly replace the hurt in my eyes. This wasn't new. This was simply the final proof I had been waiting for. Memories flooded in unbidden. 16-year-old me at the stove stirring pasta sauce, algebra textbook propped against the canister, while Dad lounged on the couch with 14-year-old Sophia. They were both laughing at her video game exploits, Mom cheering every virtual victory. "Dinner's ready," I had called out. "5 more minutes," Dad replied without glancing up. Sophia's about to beat her high score. The food went cold. My homework stayed half done. Another flash, the nearly empty auditorium at my senior awards ceremony where I accepted a plaque for outstanding academic achievement to polite applause from strangers. Mom's text, "Sorry, honey. Sophia wasn't feeling well. We'll celebrate later." 2 weeks after that, Sophia's school play. My parents arrived an hour early with flowers, leading the standing ovation. At dinner afterward, Mom kept repeating, "Our little star." I blinked away the memories and returned to my desk with measured steps. Jenna glanced up worriedly, but I offered a practiced smile and waved her off. My computer screen glowed as I pulled up the banking app and clicked into the transaction history. There it was. Month after month, year after year. Automatic transfers totaling $35,120 over 42 months. More than $35,000, enough to explain why I lived in a cramped studio apartment while Sophia enjoyed her trendy 2-bedroom in the Loop. Why my retirement account sat at barely 4 figures while she posted photos from spontaneous weekend trips. Why I had worn the same winter coat through 6 Chicago winters while she modeled new designer pieces each season. My gaze landed on the small faded blue rabbit keychain dangling from my monitor, the only gift Sophia had ever given me. One at a county fair when we were kids. "The pink one is cuter," she had declared at 8 years old, clutching it possessively. "You can have the ugly blue one." Mom had nodded in agreement. I unhooked the keychain. Its synthetic fur worn smooth from years of anxious rubbing. All these years I had kept it like a talisman, hoping it symbolized some deeper connection that might someday grow stronger. The office printer hummed nearby. Someone laughed at a joke down the hall. Outside, Chicago traffic crawled under heavy skies. Inside me, something fundamental shifted, a fault line of patience finally giving way after decades of pressure. "No more," I whispered, closing my fist around the rabbit. The words felt strange but right, like slipping into clothes that finally fit after years of ill-fitting hand-me-downs. No more. That night, my apartment walls seemed to press closer as I spread the bills across the kitchen table. Rent at $720, utilities $95, groceries $265. Numbers that should have added up to a stable life on my salary. But there was the extra bill that didn't belong. Michael Reynolds, $800. Auto payment scheduled for the 1st. Not my landlord, Sophia's. The arrangement I had kept going for 42 straight months, while my sister drifted between 4 different jobs, each ending the same way: termination notices forwarded to my inbox citing chronic unreliability and excessive absences. My phone pinged with a voicemail. Dad's voice filled the small living room. That coaxing tone he used only when asking for something. "Olivia. Sweetie. Need about $700 for a family thing this weekend. Call me back when you can." Not if. When. The assumption ran so deep it required no question. I opened my travel fund app. Balance: $19,250. The Italy trip I had dreamed about since college remained nothing but saved pins and brochures. My retirement account showed $4,650. Pathetic for 29. The math was brutally simple. $800 monthly to Sophia's rent multiplied by 42 months equaled $33,600. Add the endless emergencies, car repairs, dental work Dad couldn't quite cover, and the total hit $35,120. The number burned. I pulled out an old photo album. 3rd grade spelling bee. I had won first place. But Mom missed it because Sophia had a dance recital. Next time, honey. Sophia gets so nervous. The speech workshop I had to cancel sophomore year because Mom redirected the registration fee to Sophia's summer dance camp. She has real talent. Your grades are already solid. Then the graduation dress incident, originally mine, ruined by Sophia's spilled wine 3 days before my ceremony. "It looks better on her anyway," Mom had said as Sophia twirled in the altered dress at her own junior prom. "Red suits her complexion." I moved to my laptop and checked my bank balance again, $7,180 in savings. It should have been closer to $50,000 without the constant drain. My finger hovered over Instagram. I knew I shouldn't, but I did. Sophia at the Grand Canyon. Sunglasses glinting. Posted 3 days after texting me. Need rent money early? Power might get cut off. 4 posts later, new luxury handbag. Bought the day after I sent her $650 for unexpected medical bills. She's just more sensitive than you. Dad's voice echoed from countless talks. You've always been our rock. Live. So self-sufficient. Self-sufficient by necessity. Reliable because someone had to be. I grabbed the blue rabbit keychain and sank into my worn couch, turning it slowly between my fingers. The fur had faded from bright blue to dull gray. Patches completely bare from nervous handling. The pink one's prettier. Orange is ugly. Mom had agreed back then. But Olivia doesn't mind. Does she? And I hadn't minded. Or, at least I had never said I did. I had carried that rabbit through high school, college, and into adulthood. A constant reminder of what I had been taught, that I deserved less, that my role was to fill gaps, patch holes, carry the load. All night I sat there, turning the keychain, watching shadows move across the walls. As the first hint of sunrise touched my window, I finally set it down. I retrieved a small wooden box from my closet, placed the rabbit inside, and closed the lid with a firm click. The weight of the decision settled like armor. I open my laptop. 3 emails. That was all it would take. The first email went to Michael Reynolds. Sophia's landlord. Professional. Precise. Final. Dear Mr. Reynolds, I am writing to inform you that effective immediately, I will no longer be making payments toward my sister Sophia Bennett's rent at 1423 Lakeshore Drive. This temporary assistance has lasted over 3.5 years. Please direct all future communications to the tenant herself. Respectfully, Olivia Bennett. The second email instructed my bank to cancel the $800 automatic payment that had drained my account on the first of every month since Sophia's temporary setback. The third email, to my family, took the longest. Subject line, financial boundaries effective immediately. Attached was an itemized spreadsheet documenting every dollar, $35,120 over 42 months, rent payments, utility bailouts, emergency transfers that somehow funded getaways and luxury purchases, even the designer watch from her birthday post. Above the spreadsheet, a brief note, I have financially supported Sophia for over 3 years at enormous personal cost. This ends today. I am not available for discussion. Please respect my decision. My finger hovered over send. The kitchen was unnaturally quiet. Only the refrigerator humming witness. I pressed send. The swoosh sound echoed. Second email followed. When I reached the third, my heart hammered. This one would ignite everything. Deep breath. Click. The weight lifted so suddenly I felt dizzy. I stood, stretched, and laughed, a sound so unfamiliar in my apartment it startled me. Freedom tasted like coffee brewed at dawn after a sleepless night of reclaiming my life. The call started at 7:23 a.m. Mom. I silenced it. Again. Mom again. By 8:15 I had declined 15 calls. At 8:37, Dad's text, your sister is devastated. Call us right now. I didn't. Voicemail from Sophia at 9:52 while I was showering. You've ruined everything. How am I supposed to pay rent? Mom and Dad are freaking out. You can't just, after everything we've done for you, you selfish. I deleted it halfway through. A small smile touching my lips. Everything they had done for me. The irony stung. By noon the family group chat exploded. Relatives who rarely acknowledged me suddenly weighed in. Family helps family. Period. Sophia needs you right now. Wow. Cold. I muted the chat and headed to work. Walking taller. At my desk waited a handwritten birthday card from the department and a single cupcake with a candle. Jenna smiled sheepishly. We remembered it was yesterday. Sorry it's late. My throat tightened. It was the first birthday acknowledgement I had received that year. After work, I walked into the electronics store, the same one where I had seen the watch in Sophia's post. I'd like the premium smartwatch with a titanium band and health suite, I told the associate. Excellent choice. He processed my card without knowing I had saved for this exact model for 18 months. Without knowing its twin now sat on my sister's wrist. Bought with family money, while I covered her bills. He simply saw a woman affording something she wanted. His smile felt like validation. That evening my phone rang. Michael Reynolds. I answered calmly. Miss Bennett, I got your email, but there seems to be confusion. Your sister says she wasn't informed this arrangement would end. Mr. Reynolds, I interrupted evenly. I understand this creates difficulty, but my financial involvement with that property has concluded. Please work directly with Sophia going forward. A long pause. I see. I'll discuss payment options with her then. That would be best. Thank you. I ended the call and felt a powerful rush. For over 3 years, I had paid this man's rent while living in a place with peeling paint and a noisy window AC unit. No more. 2 days later, I accepted a senior operations promotion in Denver. The following afternoon, the lobby security phone rang at 2:19 p.m. Our guard, Carlos, gestured urgently through the glass. "Miss Bennett, your mother is here insisting on seeing you. She seems very upset." My stomach dropped. Mom stood in the lobby, arms crossed, foot tapping furiously, pearl earrings catching the light as she scanned for me. "I'll be right there," I told Carlos, closing my laptop with steady hands that hid the inner quake. Outside, Chicago's drizzle misted my blazer as Mom grabbed my arm. "Family doesn't abandon family. Do you know what you've done to your sister? She can't eat, can't sleep." "We'll discuss this after work at my apartment," I said calmly. 6 o'clock. "Dad and Sophia will be there too." It wasn't a request. "Fine," she blinked, surprised by my lack of resistance. As I turned away, she called after me. "This isn't who we raised you to be, Olivia." I paused.
No.
"It's who I'm choosing to be now." The rest of the afternoon dragged. I rearranged my tiny living room so 3 chairs and the love seat would fit, moving the coffee table aside. At 5:57 p.m., the doorbell rang. They were early. They filled the space like smoke, Dad's broad shoulders making everything feel smaller, Mom's eyes scanning judgmentally, Sophia trailing with red-rimmed eyes and hunched shoulders in her designer coat from the recent Instagram post. "Water." "Anyone?" I offered, strangely calm. Sophia's voice cracked. "Water? I don't understand what I did wrong, and you're offering water." She collapsed onto the love seat, face crumpling. The performance had begun. Dad sat beside her, arm around her shoulders. "Your sister is fragile right now, Olivia." "This situation with her job." "Which job?" I asked evenly. "The marketing role she lost in January, or the graphic design position terminated in March." Sophia's sobbing paused, eyes darting to Dad. Mom stepped forward. "That's exactly why she needs our support until she stabilizes. 4 jobs in 2 years isn't instability."
Mom.
"It's a pattern." I moved to my desk, opened my laptop. The borrowed projector hummed to life, casting a blue glow on the bare wall. "What are you doing?" Mom demanded. I clicked through files. Sophia's latest termination email filled the wall. Phrases like excessive absences and final warning highlighted. Dad frowned.
"We knew about this."
"But these are vacation photos from her Denver trip 3 days after I sent $950 for emergency rent. Images of Sophia lounging by resort pools, shopping bags visible, advanced across the wall. Bank statements showed the $35,120 transferred. My retirement balance, a tiny sum, appeared. My student loan balance, a painfully large number, followed. The room fell quiet except for the projector fan. Sophia stared at the floor. Dad looked stunned, mouth slightly open. Mom's lips pressed into a thin line. I stood straighter. "I'm not asking permission. I'm informing you. The payments stopped permanently." "But how am I supposed to?" Sophia began. "The same way other adults do," I replied. "Work. Budget. Make choices." Dad cleared his throat. "Olivia, I didn't realize the extent. I've accepted the promotion," I continued. "Senior operations lead in Denver. I leave in 4 weeks." "Denver?" Sophia whispered, genuine shock breaking through. For once it didn't seem performed. Mom stepped closer. "You can't just, I can." 2 words that carried new weight. Dad's arm dropped from Sophia's shoulder. He studied the figures still projected, then looked at me, really looked, perhaps for the first time in years. "I didn't realize," he repeated softly. Something cracked in his expression. Mom paced my living room, heels clicking like a ticking clock. From the day she was born, the doctor said Sophia needed extra attention. She's always been more sensitive. I leaned against the kitchen counter, arms crossed, watching the familiar script play out. You've always been so capable, Mom continued, making capable sound like an accusation. We're not asking for much. Just continue the payments another 6 months, maybe a year, until she stabilizes. And then what? My voice came steadier than I felt. Another year after that? You're choosing money over blood. Mom's eyes narrowed. Is that watch really worth destroying your family? The laugh escaped short, sharp, humorless. This isn't about a watch. It's about $35,000 and years of being treated like an ATM. That's not fair, Dad interjected weakly. No, I agreed, looking directly at him. It wasn't fair when you missed my college graduation because Sophia had a cold. It wasn't fair when I worked 2 jobs while she found herself on my dime. And it certainly wasn't fair when you all forgot my birthday but threw her a surprise party 7 minutes before midnight. Sophia flinched, something raw flickering across her face. I'm choosing self-respect over enabling, I continued. The words landed heavily. Silence pressed down with decades of unspoken truths. Uncertainty flickered in Mom's eyes. Her mouth opened, closed, no ready manipulation left. Then Sophia's breathing changed, ragged, uneven. Perfect tears turned real as practice sobs became genuine. I can't, she gasped, dropping tissues. I don't know how to do this on my own. The confession hung raw, the first honest words my sister had spoken to me in years. My old instinct to fix everything rose. But I planted my feet. You can learn. But I won't do it for you anymore. Sophia met my eyes. Recognition passed between us. Not forgiveness yet, but acknowledgement that I was a person with limits, not an endless resource. How? She asked. Voice small. The same way I did, one step at a time. Dad cleared his throat. Eyes reddened. I've failed you both, he said quietly, the words costing him visibly. Especially you, Olivia. In 29 years, I had never heard him acknowledge it. I minimized you because you seemed so self-reliant. You never complained. It was easier to focus on the squeaky wheel. He stood, approaching hesitantly. I don't expect forgiveness, but I'd like a chance to do better. Words are easy, I thought, but hope stirred cautiously. I need to see real actions. Name them, he said. Sophia needs a verifiable job with a contract. A budget she actually follows. Both of you should consider therapy. Mom opened her mouth to protest, but Dad silenced her with a look. And the financial support, he asked, ends today. But emotional support with boundaries? That door stays conditionally open. Dad nodded slowly, then stepped forward and hugged me, a real, solid embrace unlike the obligatory ones of the past. For a moment I leaned in, allowing the tentative reconnection. When they left 20 minutes later, the apartment felt emptier yet more mine. I poured wine and stood by the window, watching them walk to their car below, Mom's stiff back, Dad's hesitant hand on Sophia's shoulder, my sister's uncharacteristic quiet. I didn't know if they would meet my terms. Patterns built over decades don't break easily. But for the first time, the decision wasn't mine alone to carry. I touched the window glass, my reflection overlapping the city lights outside. Peace settled, not the false calm of surrender, but the true peace of standing in my own truth. No matter what came next, I had drawn the boundary that mattered most, the one around my own worth. Morning sun streamed through sheer curtains in my Denver apartment, painting golden stripes across the hardwood. I stood by the window, coffee mug warming my hands, taking in the city skyline that still felt like a gift each morning. 1 year. I whispered to my reflection. 1 year since I closed my hand around that worn blue rabbit keychain and whispered, no more. My phone buzzed. Cousin Taylor. Just landed. Can't wait to see your place. Denver's colder than Arizona. I smiled, replying, bring an extra sweater. See you soon. The apartment felt alive today. Modest decorations for my 30th birthday, white fairy lights across bookshelves. Fresh flowers I had chosen myself brightening the table. A small cake from the neighborhood bakery waiting in the fridge. This birthday was on my terms. I opened the wooden keepsake box on my desk. The rabbit keychain, once a symbol of exclusion, now represented the moment I chose myself. I ran my finger over the faded fur before closing the lid.
Dr.
Ramirez would be proud. In yesterday's therapy session, she noted my changed posture, shoulders back, chin lifted, voice steady. You've reclaimed your space, not just this new city, but the emotional space you deserve. Dad's video call chimed. Happy birthday. Olivia, he said when I answered. Smile tentative but genuine. The background showed his living room. But something was different. He sat at the desk he had finally assembled after years of promises. Thanks.
Dad.
Got your card? The bookstore gift card was perfect. Relief crossed his face. Listen, I want you to know I'm proud of you. The promotion. The move. Everything. The words felt unfamiliar but welcome. 2 visits over the past year had slowly rebuilt what was broken. One careful conversation at a time. How's Sophia doing? I asked. 5 months at the pharmacy now. Manager says she hasn't missed a shift. His voice carried genuine surprise rather than defense. She's finishing bookkeeping classes next month. That's good to hear. We talked 15 more minutes, healthier than the old problem-solving marathons. When I ended the call, Mom's brief text waited. Happy birthday. Neither warm nor cold. It was enough. The doorbell rang at noon. Friends Emma and Rachel arrived early to help set up. They knew my history but never defined me by it, friends who respected boundaries. The birthday girl, Emma announced, handing me a gift bag while Rachel carried wine. We were laughing in the kitchen when an email notification pinged. Sophia's name appeared, the first in months. Subject: Your day. I excused myself to the bedroom for privacy. The message was short. Happy birthday, Olivia. I've been thinking about last year and all the years before. I took advantage of your love because it was easier than standing on my own. I'm trying to do better now. Enjoy your day. Not a full apology, but acknowledgement. Real progress. I typed a response encouraging her efforts while clearly maintaining the boundaries that had allowed us both to grow. When I returned to my friends, I was smiling. Later, as Taylor helped arrange appetizers and we waited for other guests, I caught my reflection in the hallway mirror. 30 years old today. Smaller family circle perhaps, but richer in peace. The woman looking back stood tall, no longer carrying others' responsibilities. This birthday, I was the one worth celebrating. The gathering was small and intimate, friends who had become chosen family over the past year in Denver. We shared stories, laughter, and wine as the city lights twinkled outside. For the first time in decades, I wasn't calculating how much this would cost me emotionally or financially. I was simply present. As the evening wound down, I thought back to that pivotal morning in Chicago. The decision hadn't been easy. The initial weeks after sending those emails brought relentless pressure, daily calls, guilt trips, even surprise visits from extended family. But each time I held firm, the voice inside me grew stronger. Therapy helped unpack the years of conditioning that taught me my worth was tied to how much I could give. Journaling revealed patterns I had normalized for so long they felt like gravity. Sophia's journey wasn't linear. There were setbacks, another short-lived job, moments of resentment, but also small victories. She completed her bookkeeping certification, secured a better apartment she actually paid for herself, Dad attended a few therapy sessions with her and began showing up differently, checking in without asking for money, celebrating her progress rather than enabling excuses. Mom remained the most resistant. Some calls still carried passive-aggressive undertones, but the volume decreased. She sent occasional updates rather than demands. The family dynamic was shifting, unevenly, painfully, but shifting nonetheless. In Denver, I thrived professionally. The senior role brought new challenges, better pay, and genuine recognition. I started hiking the nearby mountains on weekends, something I had always wanted but never had the time or energy for when carrying everyone else's burdens. The travel fund grew steadily. My first solo trip to Italy was already booked for next spring. Most importantly, I learned what healthy relationships looked like. Friends who celebrated my wins without expecting repayment. Colleagues who respected my time. And slowly, cautiously, family members who were beginning to see me as a whole person rather than a safety net. As guests began leaving, Taylor hugged me tightly. "Proud of you, cousin. You look lighter." I did feel lighter. The blue rabbit keychain stayed in its box, not discarded, but transformed into a reminder of how far I had come rather than a chain holding me back. That night, lying in bed with the city humming softly outside, I reflected on the central question that had haunted me for years. When does love become enabling? When does support become exploitation? There are no easy answers. But I had learned that true family shouldn't require sacrificing your own future. Boundaries aren't rejection. They're the framework that allows everyone to grow, even if the growth is uncomfortable. Sophia still had work to do. Dad was trying. Mom was adjusting at her own pace. And I was finally living my life on my terms, celebrating my own birthdays, pursuing my dreams, sleeping peacefully without carrying the weight of others' choices. The scales had tipped after years of imbalance. Whatever came next, more progress, more setbacks, or something in between, I knew I had built the inner shelter of self-respect strong enough to weather any storm. And that knowledge was the greatest gift of all. As sleep approached, I smiled into the darkness. Tomorrow was a new day in a new city, and for the first time, it belonged entirely to me.